Next, one more common question is, so how many times to brush in a day, when to brush, and also there is a myth that if you brush more than once a day, there will be tooth damage and the tooth will not last for a long time. So this is a common myth. Whether this is a myth, is it true? So we want to know from an expert.
So according to the American Dental Association, it is said that 2 minutes of brushing with a specific technique which is called as modified Bars technique. I'm specifically mentioning again modified Bars technique. If you're using with that a medium or soft toothbrush with a mediocre abrasive toothpaste, that is which has less amount of abrasive particles in it, is good for a day-to-day basis on a regular day-to-day terms.
So what is that American association suggested that word?
As I just mentioned, modified Bars technique for
What
two
is that?
minutes in the
Can you
morning.
explain that?
Yeah, if I have a cast, I would be able to explain. Okay, so to be more simplified regarding the modified Bars technique, brushing your teeth from the gum area to the tip area of the tooth. So keep your brush to the gum area with slow vibratory motion and move it towards your biting area.
Okay.
So in that way, you will have to touch all the sections of your tooth. That will be helpful in removing the dirt which is there in between your tooth onto your tooth from both the sides, that is the front side and back side of the tooth. If you're doing that, it is very helpful for a complete oral hygiene.
And coming to the timing, is it suggested to brush the teeth immediately after waking up, and is it suggested to brush the teeth just before going to the bed? After you have brushed the teeth, you should not be taking anything other than water. So how far this is correct?
Always there is a concept that food, whenever it is there in your mouth, because of the bacteria, because of different enzymes and agents present in the saliva, that is nothing but the water which is produced in your mouth, there is continuous deterioration of the food particle.
Right.
So if there is food remnant in your oral cavity in a long term, that is after you eat, if it is staying there only for some time, there is definitely degradation of the food which creates acids in the mouth.
Okay.
That causes damage to your tooth and gum, which leads to, if it is there continuously like that, which leads to bone loss and gum loss. So always, it's not only brushing all the time, removing the debris from your mouth. So continuous after eating, if you're swishing your mouth with a lot of water in a very forceful manner, there is no food present in your oral cavity.
Okay.
So to increase the debridement in your oral cavity, brushing morning and evening is always suggestible. Along with that, there are additional aids which you can use to improve the oral hygiene and decrease the bad odor also. Because nowadays there is more amount of toothpaste or ads which are shown, or mouthwashes where they tell that it cuts your bad odor. That is because if there is remnant food particles in your mouth, it leads to bad odor, which is also called as halitosis.
Right.
So if the oral hygiene is maintained time to time, that is rinsing your mouth every meal, after every meal, is always suggestible.
What about brushing? When to brush at night? Is it just before going to bed?
That is said because after going to bed, there is a continuous span of 6 to 8 hours where you won't be in a condition where you can wash your mouth, or any sort of effort you won't do. So a span of 6 to 8 hours, you're just in such a condition where you cannot manipulate your oral status. So in such conditions, if you're just brushing your teeth properly, just going to bed, you decrease the bacterial load in your oral cavity. Along with that, there is more amount of debridement which happens. So because of the decreased bacterial load and debridement which happens, there would be increased oral health.
Okay. So the take home is, every time you eat, keep the teeth as clean as possible and try to brush early in the morning and just before going to the bed. Keep the tooth free of food particles always.
Not only tooth, keep
Entire
your mouth
Okay.
Clean always, so that no food particle, or at least the minimal of the food particle is there in your mouth, so that it doesn't lead to problems to you and doesn't cause bad odor to the person who is talking to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Krishna.